and welcome to the PT on Ice Daily Show. My name is Christina Previtt. I am one of the lead faculty in our geriatric division. We have 3 courses in our older adult division. We have our live 2-day course, and then we have our 2 online courses, Essential Foundations and Advanced Concepts, and that makes up our CERT MMOA. If you are interested in learning about all things geriatrics, we also have our newsletter that comes out every 2 weeks called MMOA Digest. I am putting that together this Friday. It goes into your inbox and it gives you up-to-date research that is coming out in the world of geriatrics so you can create PT version 2.0. I'm so sorry for the little bit of a delay getting to you. Time just escaped me, but we are here now and we are going to be talking about health promotion for the older adult. So when we are conceptualizing health promotion, oftentimes we think about individuals who are younger, where we are trying to prevent the onset of disease. And while that's one component of health promotion, the World Health Organization has really tried to zoom out and take this 10,000 foot view on disease prevention, but also health promotion across the lifespan. So when we are thinking about health promotion, oftentimes we're going to put it into one of 3 buckets: primary, secondary, and tertiary prevention. And so we're going to go through some of those definitions and talk about how we can really be thinking about all 3 spheres of prevention when it comes to our older adults. So primary prevention is when a person is not present with any risk factors and we're trying to instill essentially healthy habits to prevent downstream illness or the onset of different chronic disease. The most front of mind is instilling good sleep habits, nutrition habits, talking about lifelong physical activity, and proactively working on vaccination so that we can make sure that individuals are not getting downstream effects like post-polio syndrome, which we are seeing sometimes in our older adults. When we're thinking about secondary prevention, that's the identification of risk factors. So those are individuals who we are recognizing are having different predispositions that are going to potentially lead to a diagnosis of a chronic disease down the road. We're trying to nip that by identifying that risk factor, trying to improve or remove that risk factor, and instill healthy habits that are going to try and remove that risk. Tertiary prevention is for individuals who have already been diagnosed with a chronic disease and we are trying to make sure it does not get worse. That is things like medication management. We know that if exercise was encapsulated into a pill, it would be a magic pill because it really works in each of these camps of prevention: primary, secondary, and tertiary. And so these are individuals who have been diagnosed with the disease. A good example is individuals with type 2 diabetes who are using things like resistance training to help manage their blood sugar, prevent those blood sugar spikes, and allow them to not have some of the downstream effects like neuropathies, retinopathies, and different damage to all those tiny vasculature that leads to some of the complications that we see for individuals with diabetes. So let's take a step back and talk about how we can really bring this to the forefront with our older adults. With primary prevention, we are seeing individuals who are putting a lot of effort into their health across the lifespan. So we are seeing some individuals who are in their 60s and 70s who are really just on a multivitamin, vitamin D, calcium, for example, and haven't been diagnosed with any chronic disease. So for these individuals, all of these healthy lifestyle factors where the ICE team and the South College teams talk about taking your meds are all going to be relevant. And it's going to be relevant for primary, secondary, and tertiary prevention aims. Another thing that we're seeing proactively is how some of our vulnerable older adults are the ones who really should be prioritized for taking some of the COVID vaccines, right? We see that especially with some of the Delta variants, some of the more virulent strains, that our older adults are dying of COVID-19. And so they are the ones who are prioritized for vaccination. The same is true for pneumonia and the flu, where we know that some of these hospital-acquired infections can be much more detrimental to our older adults. So we're prioritizing those groups when we think about public health campaigns with respect to the persons that are going to be prioritized with some of those medications. So that is our realm of primary prevention that we see in the 65 plus population. The secondary prevention and tertiary prevention is probably our bread and butter, and where we as allied health providers are going to be seeing individuals. We really do hopefully want to stay in the realm of secondary prevention, because that is making sure that we are not reacting to a person who is sick. We are trying to prevent a person from getting sick in the first place. So examples of that are numerous, right? We know that we see individuals with cardiovascular risk factors who may be asymptomatic for hypertension, for example, for many, many years, or are borderline diabetic for many, many years. And that really is the ideal time for us to be intervening with interventions related to healthy lifestyle. Ideally, we could get individuals who are on the border for high blood pressure, who are starting to show spikes in their blood sugar, but haven't been diagnosed with chronic disease. We can do annual screening, right, for falls risk, for example, and try and make sure that we see these individuals who are starting to accumulate risk factors to prevent them from having that fall that gives them that injury that then puts them into our healthcare system. Because when we have that fall screen, we can start seeing where is the weak link that is coming into a person's life that may be, one, a threat to their independence, and two, be the reason why they become unsteady and then potentially have that hip fracture or other injury that's going to lead to downstream consequences. The secondary prevention sphere is actually a large part of my PhD. It's how do we identify individuals who are at risk for issues with mobility or at risk for the development of different clinical geriatric syndromes, and apply a high intensity intervention to try and prevent those transitions to worsening disability, or allow them to go from an at-risk state to more robustness. So two other examples in the secondary prevention space is, one, identifying individuals with a term called preclinical disability. So these are individuals who, if you ask them if they have problems, for example, going up and down stairs, they will say, no, I can do that okay. But if you probe a little bit further and say, is it more tiring? Have you changed the way that you go up and down stairs? Do you rely a lot more on the handrail to go up and down stairs? And they say, well, yeah, if I think about it, then I probably do. Those are individuals who are kind of at the precipice where if they continue to decline, they're going to get a lot closer to potentially having difficulties with doing things around the house. That has a lot of downstream effects, right? We're going to need more assistance. We're going to have to ask for more help and support. We're going to potentially have worsening mobility down the road. And so if we can get those people into our clinics and we can start asking those questions, then we can recognize how function is going to play a big role in our interventions and why we can justify prioritizing a fitness forward approach. The same is true with clinical geriatric syndromes like frailty. Clinical geriatric syndromes, by their definition, are constellations of signs and symptoms that are leading to vulnerability to external stressors. Very similar definition for frailty, and individuals with pre-frailty are those who do not have established frailty yet, but are having risk factors like muscular weakness, sedentary behavior, and slow gait speed. Again, these people are coming into our clinics potentially with musculoskeletal pain. We can screen them for risk for these syndromes, see that they're at this precipice where they're potentially losing some mobility and function, and we can prioritize that fitness forward approach. So all of those are in the realm of secondary prevention. Going into tertiary prevention, this is where we have our individuals with multimorbidity who are already needing gait aids to get around, who are having trouble with their day-to-day function, who are diagnosed with cardiovascular disease, who have had a cardiovascular incident, who have had a stroke, who have had all these different types of health episodes. We recognize that for them, these are individuals, because of their medical history, they are more likely to be less physically active and more sedentary, which is going to lead to that sedentary behavior spiral that leads to higher amounts of pro-inflammatory cytokines within our system. It's going to accelerate the pathophysiology of a lot of cardiovascular diseases and can potentially lead to a decline or a steeper slope of decline in function and mobility for our older adults as they get into their 7th, 8th decade of life, and also are risk factors for all-cause mortality. So again, when we start conceptualizing this for our older adult, they may be diagnosed with several different chronic diseases, can be in that camp of multimorbidity, and still have high quality of life if we're able to think about these healthy lifestyle factors and be prioritizing that fitness forward approach. Now, I've been talking a lot around exercise, but when we really take a step back, health promotion is not just about the physical domain. It's probably the easiest for us to conceptualize because we can see how individuals are moving around our clinics or gyms. But this is also talking about social, mental, spiritual, cultural, and religious well-being, and how we can help to support individuals feeling like they are part of these groups that are very important to them, and allow for removal of some of these barriers for individuals to have a heightened health-related quality of life where they are managing risk factors or established chronic disease that allows them to still participate in all the spheres of their life that have meaning to them, that bring joy, that spark their sense of identity and belonging, because we know that that social connectedness, that feeling of being connected to other spheres of our life is a broad way that we should be conceptualizing health that is above and beyond the physical space. So kind of bringing this all together, when we're thinking about health promotion, we have primary, secondary, and tertiary camps. Oftentimes, I will admit that our older adults are in that secondary to tertiary camp. We are probably working a lot in the tertiary prevention space, but we can really start thinking about our role within this health promotion, fitness forward way of addressing our older adults in the world of geriatrics. And hopefully we can start leading or being a guide to the land of fitness for many of our older adults. I hope you all found that helpful. If you are interested in our MMOA Digest, it goes out this Friday morning. You can go to ptonice.com/resources and you can sign up and get all the goods into your inbox every second Friday. Hope you all have a wonderful week. Again, I'm so sorry for the delay, and we will talk to you all soon.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.